6 panels on the majors in the business school. So we got a great panel here to talk about the economics major. And I'm going to introduce the panel here, and then they'll spend a bit of time talking about the major as well as some of their experiences with it, what they're doing now. And then there'll be time for questions. So maybe make some questions, think about some questions as you're listening to them talk. So, and again, by the way, I'm Professor John Down, one of the 3 faculty that are teaching the Business 100 section. So great to see everybody here tonight. Now, let me introduce the panel. So, I guess I should stand, get out of the way over there. So, we've got Professor Todd Easton, who's an economics professor here. And for our econ alumni panelists, we have Megan Anderson, who's with Amazon. She came all the way down from Seattle to be with us tonight. So, and Sam Kreider, who's with Bob's Red Mill Natural Foods. And so, yeah, let's give it up for Sam. All right. So as much fun as it is using this microphone, I better give it up. So here.
So, you guys, I'm lousy with microphones, but I do have a pretty big voice. So I'm going to try just to talk, and then if it doesn't work, I will use the mic. Okay. So I am really pleased to be here with these guys, and I'm really happy that they were willing to come. And I'm also honored to have an opportunity to talk to you guys about choosing a major, because I remember what it was like, and it felt at the time like a really big decision, and I was right at the time. It is a really big decision. So I'll do what I can to help you think about economics as a possible major, but also think about the choice of a major more broadly. As far as econ goes, I want to do 2 things. I want to talk about the majors, how they work, and I want to talk about what they're good for in the world out there. Okay, that's my plan. But before I get to those specifics, okay, just some general stuff about, well, one general thing about choosing a major. I think it's really important to pick a major you're passionate about. And I think that for 2 reasons. First off, I believe passion is a good thing in and of itself, okay? So how much better would it be to spend 4 years here studying something you really were passionate about than the alternative, okay? So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, and this maybe isn't quite so obvious, I know you guys are really good at passion, okay? The other thing is learning. There's a connection between learning and passion. You want to make the most of the 4 years. And if you're passionate about what you study, you're going to retain more, you're going to learn more while you're here. So that's my pitch for thinking about what you really like. Okay? So economics. What is the major? Well, actually, there are 2 majors. We have a BBA, and that's very much like the other majors. In that people who do the BBA do the Business Foundation course, so they take the intro level courses, the introductory courses in every one of the business disciplines, okay? And then the BA is very much like an arts and sciences major. In place of the Business Foundation core, you take a lot of arts and sciences classes. So you take, maybe language classes, math, philosophy, political science, whatever, okay? So there's 2 very different majors to think about. So that's what's different. What do those 2 majors have in common? Well, they have in common required courses and electives. The required courses are 3. There's an intermediate micro course. You guys are all, well, most of you are first years, so most of you are taking principles of macroeconomics right now, right? And then you're going to take principles of microeconomics in the spring. So 2 of the required courses are intermediate level versions of those 2. So So you take intermediate microeconomics and intermediate macroeconomics. So one of the things I'm going to say later is, if you really like your principles courses, that's a good sign that you might like economics. And then the other required course is econometrics. And econometrics is statistics, but the sort of statistical techniques that economists use, which are mostly flavors of linear regression. So that's the required courses. And then the upper division electives, there's 5, and you can take whatever you want, and you get to hear Professor Adranji talk about international, or Professor Barnes talk about international economics, or Professor Hanig talk about behavioral economics, or Professor Easton talk about inequality, or Professor Seal talk about public finance. So that's a broad description of the major. 2 additional pieces of advice, okay? In terms of what signals might tip you off that you're good economics material. One is, do you really like calculus? Maybe not. Okay, I'll try. So, but at any rate, there's actually quite a bit of calculus, especially in intermediate microeconomics. So liking calculus is not required, but it's a clue. And secondly, do you really like stats, especially statistics, especially linear regression, right? If the first time you saw a line fitted to data, you sort of felt excited, then that's a sign that maybe economics is a good idea. Okay, so oh, and then there was one other specific bit. Oh, okay. So the general idea, right? So if you really like taking a bird's eye view of things, right, looking down on the world and thinking about businesses and how business people make decisions, about markets that businesses are embedded in, about the whole economic system, right? What determines employment, total demand for goods and services, right? You like the big picture as opposed to sort of thinking about the specifics of businesses and how they make decisions and the day-to-day workings of business, right? Then economics might be a good move. Okay, so that's my wrap on the major, or rather the majors, okay? What is economics good for out there in the world? Besides having fun understanding the world you live in, okay? What is it good for, say, on the job? The first thing I want to say about that is, it's not good for one thing, okay? And that is, if your goal is to come out of here and be able to get an entry-level position as an economist, you probably shouldn't be an economics major, right? That almost all the positions that are labeled economist are positions for people with graduate degrees, okay? So that said, what economics is good for is making yourself really adaptable, really adaptable. Economists come out with 2 sets of skills that are really important in the world. One of them is quantitative, and the other is the sort of liberal artsy writing, reading, and stuff skills, okay? So think about the quantitative piece. You're going to come out of here having done an enormous amount of Excel, for example, in Professor Adranji's intermediate micro class. You'll have done Excel modeling, right? You'll be really good. I'm not talking about just being good at manipulating formulas, but good at using Excel to model. And you'll also be good at least one statistical package. Right now, I think Professor Adranji is using eViews in econometrics, and that's a very powerful statistical package that's used a lot in finance, especially. So you come out with good quant skills, and you're also going to come out with really good reading, writing, communication skills. Those things, the ability to tell a strong argument from a weak argument, the ability to communicate your analysis in writing, those things never go out of style. You don't know what you're going to be doing 10 years from now, 15 years from now, right? All of our careers take these strange zigs and zags, but you know that those skills are going to stand you well, whatever you end up doing. Thanks a lot. And I'll be here after if you have specific questions that I haven't answered. I'm happy to chat.
All right. Thank you. from Folsom, California, and I studied economics and philosophy here at University of Portland. Yeah, so on top of what Dr. Easton added, I just want to talk about my work experience and my experience here through taking classes and working with these guys, and how it's better prepared me for my career now at Bob's Red Mill. My freshman year and sophomore year, I worked at Reliance Investing up in Vancouver, Washington. They're a small investment firm, pretty low-key, 4 or 5 people in the office. Internship with them for 2 years. And then after that, I became a research assistant at the University of Oregon, financial research department, telecommuted. So I worked up here, did my research with all the technology now, sending documents back and forth, shared documents, stuff like that. It was really no problem at all. Would drive down there and give presentations every few months. So that's kind of what I did while I was here. I also worked at the Commons. I don't know, maybe some of you guys recognize me from that. Worked here 2 years. Yeah, it's always great to stay working while you're here because employers really look for that you were actually, taking control of your life and trying to get, some drive, going for your future. And so they like to see that you're participating in things outside of just the classroom, just your, GPA, stuff like that. My experience now is I'm a financial analyst at Bob's Red Mill. What I do is trade spending analysis. So when you go to the store and at Safeway you see 20 cents off Bob's Red Mill's products, that isn't being offered by Safeway, that's actually being offered by Bob's Red Mill, trying to push our product into stores, build our market share. We have huge growth right now, and that's what we're striving for. And what I do is I track when you scan at the store that product, I track how much spending and whether it's efficient spending within our software that we built ourselves. So definitely a lot of work in Excel. That business, probably technology class you're doing right now with Word and Excel and stuff is actually super valuable. May not seem it right now, but definitely pay attention. My interview, actually, I got tested on a lot of that stuff just right on the spot. Wasn't told that it would be, and luckily I pulled it out, so that went well. But I definitely think that you should learn shortcut keys, do as much work on Excel as you can, because not only does it present your information accurately and pretty, I guess I would say, but it just will help you in your career and using it, because most businesses out there are using Excel to do a lot of their finance work. Also, I would say take extra math classes. Dr. Easton was completely right. Extra calculus will be valuable. Linear algebra potentially. Just get comfortable with numbers, and a lot of times business majors lose comfortable with doing, more complex math equations because, you're doing more accounting work or stuff like that. So just get comfortable with working with numbers if you want to go into finance or economics. Now, as far as the versatility of economics, I can speak to that because my employers are actually surprised by my versatility in what I'm capable of doing, and in other areas I've worked. I mean, I do work with operations, with IT, with all sorts of other departments that other people I'm working alongside don't, because they're restricted to having a certain skill set and not seeing the big picture and the opportunities that businesses have, in connecting the departments. It allows you to really kind of create your own position at work, because you can see opportunities that other people are missing who are too, in the microscope, so to speak, and you can capitalize on those opportunities by proposing products or not products, projects to help improve your business. So I think it's definitely going to put you on a fast track to management if that's what you want to do. You'll get away from, looking at the spreadsheets and actually get to manage people. I'm not there yet. I'm still 2 computer screens in front of my face for 8 hours a day. So I hope to be there one day, but I've definitely seen that there's opportunity for me, other than other majors, to kind of create my own job. And I think that's what we all want to do, is create a position doing something we want to do, and that's been my experience with an economics major. So, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to be lazy here and say, can you guys all hear me? Yeah. Closer? Okay. and Sciences, undeclared, had no idea what I wanted to do. Didn't want to make a hasty decision about what major to do, so I was trying a bunch of classes, took Calc 2 with all the engineers because I thought I liked math, figured out I didn't like it that much. Then I ended up in macro, intro to macro, and really enjoyed the class. And at that point, started thinking about whether or not I wanted to be an econ major. And so, as Dr. Easton mentioned earlier, there are the two types of econ majors. And I actually started out with the BA from the College of Arts and Sciences, my sophomore year, declaring that. And my junior year, I had decided I wanted to take even more business classes and moved into the business school. So, late time to make those decisions, but Gwen from the business school worked with me and made it happen. And what I really liked about the econ major is I found it interesting, as Dr. Houston was saying earlier. I think that it gives you a unique lens looking at history and also current events to really understand why things happened the way that they did. It's a different perspective. And I also felt like it would give me a unique skill set that would be very diverse graduating. Still had no idea what I want to do. Not really sure if I even know that now. But I didn't feel like I was cornering myself into one specific profession with the econ major. And I also think that there are a lot of other programs at UP combined with that major that helped get me where I am today. How many of you guys have heard of eScholars and know what it is? So it's an entrepreneurship program. I think it's typically the junior or senior year that you participate, and you take a couple classes, and throughout the year you actually develop your own business idea. You get to go on a few cool trips, New York and an international trip. I went to China. And throughout that process you're meeting with professionals and really starting to develop those skills that will help you down the road in your own career. Also did study abroad, which again, another great decision, just to see the world, get a different perspective. And so then with all of that, I graduated, still not really knowing what I wanted to do, and just applied to jobs that looked interesting, and somehow I ended up in a great position at Amazon for one of their advertising programs. And I'm an account manager, so I work with our top revenue driving accounts and answer their questions, help optimize their ads, and protect our revenue ultimately. So I don't know, that's it. I think we'll have time for some questions, so I'll let you guys ask what you want to know instead of droning on here.
Thank you. John, do we want to do questions?
Yeah, so questions, feel free to raise your hand, and maybe Todd, you can kind of monitor them there.
Sure.
Any questions, guys? You feel like you know everything about economics now and you're ready? Yes, ma'am.
You know, actually, I don't even know how to answer that. I think, first of all, this is a new major. Megan was in the second class, so we don't actually have that many graduates. But I think it's really true that people end up doing an enormous number of different things. When I was in college, my roommates and I were all econ majors, and one of them ended up working for the government. You know, worked on the wholesale price index first, but people end up doing an awful lot of different things. Yeah.
I think really you can do any number of things, and it also is dependent on what experience you have. So I think both Sam and I had a few different internships or jobs while we were at UP, and that can kind of start to form a path of where you might go. But I think it's very diverse, and you can tailor it to your interests.
Where do they usually go though?
majority?
I would say finance, just because that's kind of the route economics is going, in my opinion. But I can definitely attest. What's cool about economics is you can tailor it to, it's the big picture, but you tailor it to whatever kind of smaller picture you want to see. So like I wanted to go into finance as well, but I chose economics because finance is so much more than what happens within the finance department or what's going on within the calculations and things like that. It's you know, seeing the big picture will get you to I think, like I said before, create your own position, and you can develop a vast array of different skills that you wouldn't necessarily get at another major, and apply them at any time in your career the way you see fit. So, I mean, as far as a specific job, I actually got asked that in my interview. They asked, so what does an economics major do? I was like, well, that's why I'm here. But, you know, so it's one of those things that there's no specific answer. You have control of what that answer is. You have control of what you're going to do. It's like you can tailor your own business major to whatever you want.
But it is true, nationwide, I guess, a lot of people do end up in finance. And you can see that in the salary data. The average earnings for economists are actually higher than for business majors as a group broadly. And I think that's because there's a bunch of bright people in liberal arts colleges in the Northeast who end up on Wall Street and pull that mean up, working in investment banks.
Yes, sir. What's your question?
If one was interested in the IT industry, how would an economics degree benefit them?
I'll take this. We're actually, at Bob's General, we're building our own software to do what I do, trade spending and track our spending and give sales reports and things like that. And all of that is done by our IT department, but they have to have a basic understanding of finance and business, obviously, to tailor the software to our needs. I mean, we get to go to them and we're essentially beta testers because we're actually using the software while we're building it. It's kind of confusing, but when you have limited resources, that's kind of what you have to do. And, you know, we work with them constantly, and the people we work with are great with programming. They program the whole software, do everything, and still have an understanding of finance and of what our needs are and how we want to display it, what information is important to put on a report and what's not, and stuff like that. And so, you know, there's definitely a crossover, because at the end of the day, everybody, no matter what major they are, is going to work for a business. And, I mean, at the end of the day, engineers, doctors are reporting to somebody who's running the business that they're in. And so there's definitely applicable, you know, aspects to IT and, you know, other areas, healthcare, all sorts of things. So, very versatile.
Any other questions? Anybody? Anybody?
Okay, so this is for Dr. since he's a representing faculty member. So I was interested in, like, who at the university is within the economics department that can speak on behalf of the rationale behind, like, say, consumer choice and investment in real estate and stocks. Sorry, get all that?
Not quite. So are you talking about sort of the rational economic person model, like how people make decisions?
Yes, okay. Well, it's like, who here at the university is someone that's specialized in rationale behind, say, real estate or stocks, or both?
Oh, I see. You're talking about investment choices.
Yes.
I don't know. I suppose Professor Adranji is the closest to finance among the five economists. And Professor Hanig, one of his main specialties is behavioral economics. And they kind of have the alternative view of how investment decisions get made.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah. So I would love to hear more about how did you end up at Amazon, right? That went really fast, right?
Yeah, so after I graduated, I actually interned at Regions here in Portland and found out about that position at the speed dating interview session that Gwen puts on. Moved back up to Seattle, which is where I'm from, and started looking for positions. Actually heard about that one just in a coincidence. Friend met the hiring manager out playing golf, got the introduction, and applied for the job from there. So it's all about networking and the connections that you have. Definitely isn't an econ specific job, but I do think a lot of the skills that I developed here at UP helped prepare me for that. I mean, I'm not in finance, I don't do finance, but Amazon as a company is very data driven. So spend a lot of time in Excel looking at the data, manipulating it to tell the story I need it to tell. Do you have any other
No,
specific
I think that's good. You guys heard the networking, right? Staying connected with people, talking to people, man. When you talk about the zigs and zags, that is a big deal.
I have a question. So is it sort of all or nothing in terms of econ? If somebody's interested in maybe another major, are there any econ classes they can take as electives?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so
In
like,
fact, most of the economics classes only require the principles classes as electives. So most of you, right, you're going to take both of those principles classes anyway, and you'll be able to take almost all the upper division classes.
thanks. And then Sam, how about you in terms of your job, getting your job at Bob's Red Mill? How did that come about?
I actually,
And at first, does everybody know about this product, right? This is good stuff. It's just amazing that, he graduated and went off to do such a great thing.
thank you. My experience in finding a job was I applied to a position for Bob's Red Mill that I knew I wasn't going to get, and they wanted 3 to 5 years of accounting experience, and I had 0. So I submitted my application, the best one I could put on paper, and they actually contacted me and wanted an entry interview, and I was really surprised. And so I took the interview, and they were really impressed, and they loved it, and they told me about a week later I didn't get the job, obviously, and I was like, to be honest with you, I didn't expect it, so cool. And they called me a month after that and offered me a position essentially doing the same thing, except more from a finance perspective. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I went about it. Don't, limit yourself to necessarily jobs you think you can get, because that's part of building your network is going and meeting with people who, maybe are looking for something more but see potential in you and think they can work with you and stuff like that. And really, it comes down to the interview. If you can knock that out of the park and you're someone who they feel like is intelligent, has potential, and someone they can spend 8 hours a day with and 40 hours a week with, you'll likely advance at least to the next round. So definitely don't sell yourself short when applying to jobs in a couple years.
Okay, any other questions? Any last words from the panel?